Hi, good morning, Year 9, and welcome to lesson number 2 of week 12. As you can see, today we're going to be looking at the metabolism and how the liver is involved in it. So we've got a little thinking activity to start us off. Got a picture of the body and some of the organs. Which of the letters is showing the liver? That's your first task. The next one suggests the function of the liver and how it links to metabolism. Now, this is something we're doing in this lesson, so put down your idea and then at the end, see if you got that right. Okay, so pause the video and do that now, please. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at today, we all need to be able to define metabolism as the sum of all reactions in a cell or a body. We need to be able to describe the role of liver in repaying the oxygen debt, which we looked at in last lesson for anaerobic respiration. For the top levels, we need to be able to discuss whether it's possible to increase metabolism. And some of the keywords that we're going to be looking at, you can see that there are some blood vessels on there, the hepatic vein, hepatic artery, and the hepatic portal artery. Also going to be using metabolism and detoxifying, and obviously we're referring to the organ, the liver. Okay, so this is how it looks in the specification. So you should be able to explain the importance of sugars and amino acids and fatty acids and glycerol in the synthesis and breakdown of carbohydrates and proteins and lipids. So that links in very well with the digestive system and how those nutrients are broken down. We need to know that metabolism is the sum of all the reactions in the body. We need to know that energy transferred in respiration is used in enzyme processes. And we need to know some examples of metabolism, sort of uses, the reactions involved in metabolism, which you can see there, which we'll discuss as we go through. And also all of these aspects are covered in more detail in the relevant specification section. So a big thing about this one is how it links in with other bits that we've covered, so respiration, digestion, and things like that. So from the starter thinking question, hopefully we identified that the liver is in fact B. Okay, so a large organ after the skin is the next largest organ, has lots and lots of different functions that we're going to be looking at today. So something that we do need to put down in our notes, because it is incredibly important, is a definition for metabolism. So the metabolism of an organism is the sum of all of the reactions that take place in a cell or in the body. So a lot of people think of respiration being metabolism, that's it, but it's not. It's all of the different reactions that are taking place inside us. So one of the things that we've looked at is respiration, so that is one of them. And respiration is very important because it provides heat energy, so that enables mammals like us and birds to maintain a constant body temperature. And it also enables muscle contraction. So that allows us to move around, the things to move around inside our body. But other things that you might not think about is that it's also involved in enzyme-controlled processes. So building up or breaking down molecules, because that will require energy. So if we wanted to take glucose, for instance, and convert it into a storage molecule, so if we were plants, it would be starch. In animals, it's glycogen, but also cellulose in plants for their cell walls. We also needed to make lipid molecules, and we do that by taking the glycerol and the fatty acids from digestion, and we can build it up into our own human lipid molecules. It's also used with nitrate ions to form amino acids, so this is in plants, which are then made into proteins. So that's how they get their proteins, because the sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water aren't proteins or amino acids, so they have to make their own. They use it in respiration. Everyone uses it in respiration, all organisms. And also it's used to break down excess proteins to make urea, which we then excrete. So I would like you to pause the video, just put down the definition for metabolism. The other ones are going to come up in some sentence fillers in a moment. Okay, so to summarize some of the important bits on the last one, you don't need to do the top one because you've just done that, but we've got some filling in the gaps for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if you could pause the video, complete those sentences, full sentences, but add the missing words in the blanks. So pause the video now, please. Okay, so hopefully you know that it is the Metabolism is the sum of all the reactions in the cell or the body. We should already have that down. So some of the examples of metabolic reactions that we need to know: conversion of glucose to starch, glycogen and cellulose, the formation of lipid molecules from a molecule of glycerol and 3 molecules of fatty acids, the use of glucose and nitrate ions to form amino acids, which are then used to synthesize proteins. Remember, synthesize means to make. It's used in respiration, both aerobic and anaerobic, and the breakdown of excess proteins to form urea for excretion. So give yourself a mark out of 5, that would be, on those gaps. Hopefully we got 5 out of 5 on that. We do need to know some of these metabolic reactions. Okay, so we're going to watch a little video now, just looking at the roles of the liver. It has several roles.
There's a factory inside you that weighs about 1.4 kilograms and runs for 24 hours a day. This is your liver, the heaviest organ in your body, and one of the most crucial. This industrious structure simultaneously acts as a storehouse, a manufacturing hub, and a processing plant. And each of these functions involves so many important subtasks that without the liver, our bodies would simply stop working. One of the liver's main functions is to filter the body's blood, which it receives in regular shipments from 2 sources. The hepatic artery delivers blood from the heart, while the hepatic portal vein brings it from the intestine. This double delivery fills the liver with nutrients that it then sorts, processes, and stores with the help of thousands of tiny internal processing plants known as lobules. Both blood flows also deliver the oxygen that the liver needs to function. The blood that is received from the intestine contains carbohydrates, fats, and vitamins and other nutrients dissolved in it from the food you've consumed. These must be processed in different ways. In the case of carbohydrates, the liver breaks them down and converts them into sugars for the body to use as energy when the filtered blood is sent back out. Sometimes the body has leftovers of nutrients that it doesn't immediately require. When that happens, the liver holds some back and stacks them in its storage facility. This facility works like a pantry for future cases when the body might be in need of nutrients. But the blood flowing into the liver isn't always full of good things. It also contains toxins and byproducts that the body can't use, and the liver monitors these strictly. When it spots a useless or toxic substance, it either converts it into a product that can't hurt the body or isolates it and whisks it away, channeling it through the kidneys and intestine to be excreted. Of course, we wouldn't consider the liver a factory if it didn't also manufacture things. This organ makes everything from various blood plasma proteins that transport fatty acids and help form blood clots, to the cholesterol that helps the body create hormones. It also makes vitamin D and substances that help digestion. But one of its most vital products is bile. Like an eco-friendly treatment plant, the liver uses cells called hepatocytes to convert toxic waste products into this bitter greenish liquid. As it's produced, bile is funneled into a small container below the liver, called the gallbladder, before being trickled into the intestine to help break down fats, destroy microbes, and neutralize extra stomach acid. Bile also helps carry other toxins and byproducts from the liver out of the body. So as you can see, the liver is an extremely efficient industrial site, performing multiple tasks that support each other. But such a complex system needs to be kept running smoothly by keeping it healthy and not overloading it with more toxins than it can handle. This is one factory we simply can't afford to shut down.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video. It's just illustrating how vital the liver is and all of the different functions it has. processing, storing, and manufacturing lots of different things. So we're going to look at the things that we need to know for the specification. Right, now it was mentioned in the video, but you might want to either go on Google or go back on the video. We've got 3 blood vessels here that are going to or from the liver. I'd like you to do a little sketch, just a quick sketch of the liver with those 3 blood vessels. And I'd like you to have a go at labelling those 3 blood vessels. So if you could pause the video and do that now, please. Okay, so hope we got on there, there is the hepatic artery, and that brings oxygenated blood to the liver. We have got the hepatic portal vein that carries blood containing digested food from the intestines to the liver. And we've got the hepatic vein which carries blood from the liver onto the heart with levels of food adjusted. So we've got two major blood vessels going into the liver. So it has a very rich supply of blood so that it can do the following things. So the liver cells grow and regenerate themselves very rapidly. It's one of the only organs that we have that is able to repair itself. The liver is a very active organ with many different metabolic functions, and these are the ones that we need to know. So it's used for detoxifying poisonous substances. So things like ethanol that we have in alcoholic drinks actually breaks those poisons down. It's used for passing breakdown products to the blood and the kidneys to form urine. And it's also used to break down worn out red blood cells so that it can take the iron out and then use that iron to make new red blood cells. So can we pause the video, and if you did not already put these three functions of the liver and how they're linked to metabolic functions, then you'll need to do that, please. So pause the video now. Okay, so the liver also really important and links to what we were doing about anaerobic respiration in removing lactic acids. So blood flowing through the muscles transports lactic acid to the liver. So all that lactic acid that is made during anaerobic respiration in the muscles, that's taken to the liver. Then in the liver, the lactic acid is converted back into glucose. So remember, in anaerobic respiration, you have your molecule of glucose, and that's broken down into two 3-carbon molecules. So they go back to the liver and they're kind of stuck back together again to make glucose. Now that helps in repaying the oxygen debt, and the glucose can then be converted into glycogen or transported around the body. So this is how the liver is involved in removing lactic acid and repaying that oxygen debt. So if you could pause the video and summarize those 4 points about removing lactic acid in your notes. Okay, so we're going to move on now. So we're going to have a look at some questions to see how much that you took on your knowledge and putting it into exam style answers. So question number 1 is identify the role of the liver in detoxification, and that's going to be worth 1 mark. So if you have to identify something, you only have to give a very simple answer, and identify questions are normally only worth 1, maximum 2 marks. Question number 2, explain how the liver is involved in respiration. So you need to think about respiration and then explain how the liver is involved in it. And that's going to be worth 2 marks. So if you could pause the video and have a go at those 2 questions, please. So for identifying the role of the liver in detoxification, if you said anything about removing toxic or poisonous chemicals such as ethanol, you don't have to give an example, but if you did put it in there, well done. That is the role in detoxification, getting rid of the toxins. Look at the word detoxification. D, taking away toxic substances for toxification. Number 2, explain how the liver is involved in respiration. So if you mentioned about getting rid of lactic acid made in anaerobic respiration, that would be 1 mark. Also, if you said about how it stores glycogen to convert into glucose for respiration, then that would be the 2nd mark. So give yourself a mark out of 3, make any corrections if necessary, and hopefully we got at least 2 marks on that. Very well done if you got all 3. Okay, so a slightly larger question now. The liver is an organ of respiration. Discuss this statement. Now, don't worry if you're repeating yourself from some of the things you said in the last questions, or one of the questions that you just did. It's 5 marks, so we need to get 5 points in there that are going to be worthy of a mark in an exam. So if you could pause the video and have a go at doing that 5-mark question, discussing how the liver is an organ of respiration. Okay, so this is a mark scheme that an examiner would have when they're marking their, any of your exams. So if you have mentioned that the liver is involved in a number of processes requiring energy, or said that energy is needed in them, then that would be 1 mark. If you said about the removal of lactic acid during anaerobic respiration, that would be a mark. If you said about converting glucose to glycogen, then that would be a mark. If you said about how glycogen can be converted into glucose for respiration, then that would be a mark. And if you said that the liver consequently carries out a lot of aerobic respiration, or talking about that the liver is respiring in order to do any of your named reactions, then that would also be worth a mark. So give yourself a mark out of 5 for that question. Imagine most people got 3 or more would be great.
Well, liver disease campaigners are targeting Nottingham as part of a drive to raise awareness about the condition. The city has one of the highest hospital admission rates in England, as Gita Penze reports.
I'm going to put a bit of cold gel on you.
A simple scan that will reveal the health of Malcolm's liver. He was amongst hundreds of people who visited a mobile screening unit in Nottingham today as part of an awareness drive by the British Liver Trust. Figures suggest Nottingham has the highest admission rate for liver disease in England.
Alcohol drinking to excess and high rates of obesity, as well as our ethnic minority populations tend to have quite high rates of viral hepatitis 2, viruses that damage your liver. If you add that together with the fact that liver disease has been very difficult to diagnose, an awful lot of people don't know about it until they end up with a very serious problem that takes them to hospital.
That was the case for Claire. A problem with alcohol over several decades led to liver failure. Claire believes if she'd taken a test earlier, things would be different.
It was when I was in hospital and they said those words to me, liver unit, that I knew that I was in trouble. But up to that point, I had no idea of what the symptoms were. And if somebody had just said, you know, come on Claire, you know, you're drinking a little bit too much now, these are the signs, you know, this is your family history, you know, it certainly would have changed me.
strong message there, and Geeta's here. So what's the advice, Geeta, to those who might just be concerned about this?
Well, the good news is that experts say that most liver disease is preventable with earlier diagnosis, which is why people are being encouraged to take the test with their local GP. Now, the three main risk factors are obesity, alcohol and viral hepatitis. And the British Liver Trust say there are things we can do to help our liver, and they include drinking within the recommended limits and having 3 consecutive days off alcohol every week, having a healthy diet and know the risk factors for viral hepatitis.
OK, Geeta, we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, so you didn't need to make any notes on that one. It's just a public health warning, really about how we can make sure that our liver stays healthy as we get older. So reducing the amount of alcohol we drink, healthy diet to avoid obesity, and also knowing about diseases such as viral hepatitis. So very important organ, must make sure it stays healthy. Okay, last question. Which of the following reactions take place in the body? So it's talking about our bodies, and there is more than one answer. You do not need to write it down. Just read through the statements and decide which of the following reactions take place. Okay, well done if you said basically the top 3. So formation of urea, that is a reaction that takes place in our body. Respiration is a reaction that takes place in our body. And the oxidation of lactic acid. The last 2 are involved in plants. So that would be in plants only, not in our bodies. Okay, so that is it from me today. Very well done for taking part. Hopefully we know that metabolism is the sum of all the reactions in a cell or the body. Some of us will be able to describe the role of the liver in repaying the oxygen debt. And some of us will also be able to discuss whether it's possible to increase metabolism. So thinking about ways in which we can keep our liver healthy to ensure that metabolism is at its fastest rate, and also about looking at the different respiration and health. Okay, so some good links to the health and disease section that we did. Very well done. Hope you're well and staying safe, and you'll hear from me tomorrow. This is the last lesson on respiration, so we're going to be doing something slightly different in the coming weeks. Thank you very much, and goodbye.